Hi everyone, probably not who you were expecting to see today. So let me first of all say thank you for joining us, and I will let Tracy in, who usually hosts the lives, but she won't be today because she's in the Chathams. She is joining us on and will be talking to me. In case she does drop off, we know why. So let her in first. Hi Trace.
Hey
How's it
Rakeeb, thank you for
going?
taking over the reins.
No worries. I just did a quick intro, told them why you weren't opening up so everyone knows that you're based in the Chathams. How's it all going?
Yeah, look, it's fabulous. Look, I'm in the Chatham Islands, as you mentioned, and I'm over here working with a client. We're working on some health and safety, which is very important, people. But I absolutely love the Chathams. It is just so unique, so raw. It's such a different part of New Zealand, and there is no wonder why this destination is the hottest destination in New Zealand right now. It is 30% up
Oh,
with tourism.
wow. Already? That's pretty
Yeah.
incredible.
It is, it is. And I think the thing is that people, we're 800 kilometers away from mainland New Zealand. So we're out
Mm-hmm.
east. So if anyone's
Yeah.
unsure of where the Chathams is, which I definitely was when I first took this contract, I had
I
no
remember,
idea
yeah.
where it was.
Yeah.
It's kind of situated between Wellington and Christchurch, but 800
Ah,
kilometers off the
yeah.
coast. So it's a fair way away. And it only has a population of 600 people. So it's
Oh,
it's
wow.
quite
Small
small.
community.
Uh,
Yeah.
it is. Let's add to it, and one pub. So it gets
No
pretty
way.
crowded, as you can imagine.
You probably know everyone
But the
now.
great, yeah, yeah, but the great thing about this place is it's just so untapped, and people that I've been
Yeah.
talking to kind of refer to it as New Zealand in the 50s because there's
Oh, wow.
things that still
Yeah.
haven't come to life yet. Now,
Yeah.
a random fact, Ricky, they got mobile in December last year. So up
No
until
way.
December last year, they had no mobile phone connectivity. It was nuts. Now I wouldn't even be able to be doing this
Doing this.
today
Yeah.
with you if they didn't have mobile. So thank you 2 degrees for that.
It's very
So
impressive.
it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. It
Mm.
looks like it's good coverage as well because looking at the quality of your video right now, I'm surprised you haven't dropped off.
So have I. So do I. And I will admit that just as we were doing the testings, I actually removed myself from the live rather than
Yeah.
you removing yourself from the
I
live. So
know. Yeah, let's
yeah,
hope that doesn't
use
happen.
yeah user operator error. That was all my fault. But no, hey, look, the great thing about being on the Chathams is
Hmm.
it's just so peaceful and quiet, and there's only a
Yeah.
small amount of sealed road. It's unique. I like to describe it as raw. It is very raw as a
Yeah.
as a destination. So
That's so cool.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's actually cool. Oh yeah, just a little bit of shout out to Carmen who's watching at the moment. Yes, it mobile
I
was only started in it was only in December, and thanks for that quick. It is absolutely crazy. So thank you, Carmen. I
he
would like to
loves your
see a little bit.
updates.
Yeah. So what's really interesting about mobile in this in the Chathams is that it is meant to cover actually out into the sea as well. So when people go
Hmm.
on fishing charters, they can still make sure that they can upload their fishing pics to
No way.
Instagram.
Yeah. So I will be able to
Yeah.
survive on the island.
Yes, you would be able to survive on the island. Yeah,
We
definitely,
both know I can't
definitely.
go without Instagram.
Yeah. Now, Rakeeb, today is our first of our lunchroom talks, and I actually brought my
Yes.
lunch with me
Typical. I knew you
because,
would. I
yeah,
missed that memo.
if yeah, well, if anyone knows me, I love to eat. So the food is never far away from my hands. So
There you
I did bring
go.
my food, so I was quickly munching before. But hey, look, I just this is a really good opportunity for us just to kind of stop and reflect
Yeah.
about where we've come so far, because we're at
Yeah.
the end of February. And we've already had a month of our new, I guess you call it our new schedule of lives.
Yeah. Or
And
format.
we
Yeah.
just want to take, yeah,
Hmm.
and and thanks to you and the team, we've been working on some really cool topics, and we've got some really great speakers leading up
Yeah.
for next month as well.
Exactly.
But it was just a time for us to go, hey, how's everyone going, and what do we think, and what
Yeah.
are we predicting as well?
Exactly. And like you've had some really good speakers already this month, like with the lives that you've done last week and the week before. Do you want to touch base on like do a little summary for us on what you covered
Yeah,
and what to expect?
totally. Yeah, totally. Look, we had first up we had Simon from Cranky Goat. Now Simon was not a cheesemaker when he first started his business. He was actually in the Defence Force, and
Oh,
he
wow.
also ran leadership courses. So he was really strong in sharing with us his goals and how he plans his business goals for Cranky Goat, and how
Yeah.
he makes his family sit down every year and review how they performed for the year, and then
Yeah.
what are the goals that they're going to be tackling into the next year,
Yeah.
and also realigning their vision and making sure that their vision they're staying on track. And it was really interesting to see,
Mm,
I guess what we tend to forget is that as business owners, we get a little bit relaxed sometimes when we're looking at
exactly.
our own
Yeah.
business goals,
Mm,
you know,
that's so
and
true.
being able to have such strong structure and such
Yeah.
determination that Simon had, and it has enabled their business to continue to step forward and step forward and step forward, because
Yeah.
he's kept true to his vision and his business goals. So I absolutely loved chatting with Simon. It was a
Mm.
really interesting conversation. And
Yeah, I
one
really
thing that he
enjoyed it
said,
as well.
yeah, one thing he said, which was really interesting, is that our biggest enemy is basically at the moment is COVID.
It is,
Nothing
yeah.
else, not your competitor.
Yep,
Yeah, COVID
exactly.
is our biggest enemy.
Yeah.
So making sure that when we are looking at our businesses, that we are
Yeah.
we're constantly looking at who the enemy is and making sure that we can adapt, because COVID has thrown oh, so many curveballs
I
at us.
know. And I think like for a lot of businesses, especially the ones in Auckland at the moment, there's a lot of uncertainty with like hiring staff, not having staff on because they've got, there's positive cases. So what he
Mm,
mentioned, I thought was quite beneficial, that it is the enemy that we're facing, because a lot of the businesses here are shutting down at the moment because they just don't know when they can open again. Places that are like, needing to go off because their staff are all COVID positive, or they don't have enough people on, or they can't financially run it anymore. So like it would be
mm,
good to it
yeah.
was good to get his insights on it. But do you have anything to add from his message to you and everyone else on that?
Yeah, look, definitely. He talked about always referring back to your plan,
Mm,
always consider what is the terrain doing to what your plan was,
yeah.
and make small incremental changes rather than taking big emotional changes. Because one of the things that
Mhm.
we talked about, and look, I know myself, is that when you're under pressure, you don't always make the
Yeah,
best decision. You
exactly.
you make an emotional, irrational decision. So as a business owner, that can cost you a lot of money. And he
Yeah,
really drilled into that if we have a plan and potential that things could go wrong, create some scenario. And
yeah,
in those scenarios, put worst case, and when the pressure's on, have a look at that plan and see what it
exactly.
says, and
Yeah,
come to a conclusion based on that plan. Because when we get emotionally, caught up in a
yeah,
problem, and especially if money's involved, we make rash
exactly.
decisions.
Yeah. And I think it's a good idea. Like,
Yeah,
I wouldn't have thought of that. I wouldn't have gone, okay, let's make a plan where I have a good case scenario and a worst case scenario. We always focus on the good, and like we want that to be the outcome, but it is good to have a backup plan for like if something doesn't go right, this is what we have to do, and this is the worst case that we'll have to handle. I think that kind of gives us a lot of certainty as to like this is the worst it can be, but there's a way
yeah,
through it. It's the whole fight and
yeah,
flight
totally.
scenario, isn't it, with businesses as well at the moment? It's like you either fight for what you're doing or you take a flight. It's the whole mentality that we're
Yeah,
all going through, and it's how we handle it.
yeah, and we haven't experienced anything like this in
No.
before. Okay, so we've never had a pandemic like this.
Yeah.
We have gone through downturn. So some
Mm,
people may have been through the GFC with their businesses. Some people may be even older, and there's been other,
exactly.
the 80s with the stock exchange crashes.
Yeah.
So there's cycles of it, and the good thing to know is we do always come out of it. Do we
I
come
agree.
out
Yeah.
of it with the business? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Sometimes emotionally, we have to let go of something that
Yeah.
we've worked really hard for during these times.
Exactly.
But planning and business goals was definitely, Simon really opened my mind
Yeah.
to,
It was a
I
really,
thought I was doing
really
a good
useful.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was doing a good job, and then I listened to Simon, and I think,
Yeah.
boy, he's done a fantastic job at keeping it
It's like a
all in
mind
line.
shift listening to him. Like it was a complete mind shift. If you're a small business owner, it doesn't matter which industry you're in. It just gave you like quite a lot of insights as to what the planning should look like. And I
Yeah,
think it was, I'm sure everyone could have taken something from it. So if anyone hasn't listened to it yet, definitely go back to the live from a couple of last week was even, and listen to it
yeah,
because you will definitely take something away from it.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah. And
Yep.
then you had
So we'll
another
pop
one as
that link
well.
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, the next one was Engagement was King, and it was with
Mm,
Georgia Watts from More FM. And I
yeah.
really enjoyed this because
Same.
we learned something about More FM that no one knew about. Now,
Mm,
17% of their audience was from Bangladesh. So when she first started.
yeah.
So somewhere along the lines, someone had bought followers for their account.
Ah, always a
And
no-no.
so it's always a no-no, definitely. So she talked about how she focused on tailoring the content and being
Yeah.
consistent with the content to keep it local. And she found that over time, because she was consistent, she kept it local, and she also put a piece of her brand in it. So she started to appear
Yeah.
in the
In
posts
these,
more
yeah.
often and created that relationship with the
Yeah.
audience, that she's also the newsreader, but she's also the person that does the social. And she's
Exactly.
grown, well, she had grown 2,000 followers in
Oh,
18
wow.
months.
That's
So,
amazing.
and that was all organic.
Yeah. Because and that takes a lot of effort on her part, but like the end result is so worth it. If 18 months to get 2,000 followers that are, genuine followers as well, rather than the ones that are bought and just are bots pretty much, really. That makes a huge difference
Totally.
for your brand. And your
Yeah.
engagement level, I
Yeah.
think
And
what we look at is the engagement level now, right? More than how many followers you have. So that would just have boosted her engagements
yeah.
up heaps.
Yeah, totally. And so we were talking about having that, not having that fear about putting something out
Mm,
there. And she said, keeping in mind, she said, I watch videos of people cutting sand. Don't
yeah,
ever think that what you've put out there is not good enough.
no,
Someone will look at it, but to match the algorithms, we have to be putting stuff out into the
exactly.
the platforms so that
Yeah,
people actually know that you exist. So, it was really interesting talking to her. So she really wrapped it up with, being consistent, understanding your audience, and
yeah,
also planning. So we talked a lot about planning your
yeah.
social content. I don't know, Rakeeb. I once upon a time I got up in the morning and I decided what I was going to post. Now,
And do it
after
then.
spending a lot more
Yeah,
time, yeah, and spending time with you, I
yeah.
have done a lot more
It's a thing of the
planning,
past.
and I yeah, yeah. So I thank you for pushing
Yeah.
me in that
And I think
direction.
that's
But it
something we've
definitely
learned
makes a
over
difference.
time as well. Planning is so important. It doesn't matter what your messages you're putting aside. Like, I like to plan my calendar at least a month in advance. That way it gives me a chance to review it. If anything comes up, it still gives me a chance to go in there and change the cycle of when a post is going out. But at least
Mm,
we
mm.
are aware of what we're posting, when we're posting it, and who we're targeting as well. So it just gives us a bit more breathing space to plan these.
It sure does, and obviously we work together with one client, and quite often they will send us information that they would
Mm,
like posted,
yeah.
and you just do your thing, Rakeeb. You wave your
Yeah.
magic and move it all around, and it
It's
and it
already
just
done. Yeah.
happens. Yeah,
But
yeah.
it still
So
works well with
that's
our
what.
calendar. So like it doesn't disrupt anything. So like if people are worried that if they schedule things and they can't put anything in between those, that's not the case. It doesn't disrupt your
Mm.
scheduled post at all. You just pre-plan it and then you plan it on the day if needed.
Yeah,
So it
no,
comes down to
definitely.
content planning.
It does. It does. Now, we do have more in store for March, and I'm really
You do.
excited for March because we've got some new topics. Now, if you are
Mm-hmm.
interested in finding out about what topics we've got up for March, then please sign up to our newsletter, because our newsletter will be the place to find out what is coming up. Look.
Here we go.
Oh, this
Hannah.
is so nice. Can I just
Yeah.
say this is so nice. Thanks, Hannah. After listening to you guys and working alongside you, I've moved and reacted posting to more schedules. Thank you, Hannah.
Really
Just a little
done.
secret. Hannah and I work in the same office. She's a gem. Thanks, Hannah. Love your work. And it's so true. It's all about
Yeah.
keeping consistent, isn't it?
Exactly.
And also, there is a little bit of also keeping it on brand too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, if you need more content, you know what you need rather than on the day waking up and going, let me just post this. And then you'll realize that it's actually not the right content you needed. It just gives you a chance to refresh everything as well.
Yeah. If you want to do that, I think stories is a great place for that.
Yeah, definitely. Talking about
Yeah.
stories, I don't know if you guys have heard, but Facebook has decided that they were going to add the reels. Sorry, Meta has decided they're going to add the reels that you could do on Instagram to Facebook now as well. So you can create more video content on Facebook. So you can utilize a lot of your other content that you've used in the
Now,
past on there as
can
well.
I just say this is a spoiler alert because this
Yeah.
is actually in this month's newsletter.
Yes. See, we just gave you guys an inside scoop.
Yep. Yep, you did. You did. I hadn't told Rakeeb everyone, but it's actually in this month's newsletter. We've got we show you how to actually use your stories and convert them into reels.
Love that. Love that. I think this is
Yeah.
all the more reason why people should sign up to the newsletter if they haven't already.
Yeah. So a little bit of a plug there. So if you haven't signed up to our newsletter, again, we'll drop the link in at the end of this show for you to sign up, because the newsletter will go out tomorrow. So please make sure you sign up, and we'll be sharing with you tips on social, but also just general chit chat about what's going on in the industry. Now,
Exactly.
Ricky, it's a weird time here in New Zealand right now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I
so
guess
we are
it
just
is
about to go
COVID.
into, yeah, it's COVID. So Omicron is definitely playing its part here
Yeah.
in New Zealand, and we've watched Aussie.
Yes.
And being a loyal Aussie, I've watched Aussie hit its peak and then drop. But now we are going through the same, I
Yeah.
guess, peak. We're
Experience.
hitting a peak
Yeah.
with Omicron, and it's actually creating some struggles for small
Yeah.
businesses, isn't it?
It is. There's a lot of anxiety out there. I guess it's like, how do we handle that? How do we know what's going to be there tomorrow and what's not? Like, there's a lot of questions around it.
Yep. And it's really interesting being on the island, because Chatham Islands has had no COVID cases. There's been little scares, but there's
Yeah.
been zero COVID cases. And part of my role here has been involved in some of those conversations around
Sure.
how are they going to manage COVID
Yeah.
when here. But the real struggle has actually been more on the mainland in New Zealand, where people are no longer going and having coffee. They're not going out for lunch. They're
Exactly.
not going out for
Yeah.
dinner. So the hospitality industry, the tourism sector, is still
Yeah.
continuing to find it tough because people are not traveling.
Yeah.
And other services, I mean, there's some people that are even, delaying haircuts and, not getting their nails done
Mm.
because they're just concerned at the
Yeah.
moment. I never
I
get
know.
my hair
It's like,
cut. It's not my, that's
yeah.
not my
I'm like,
problem.
I'll just wait till a couple of weeks ago. Like, even just going, I've got a friend's wedding coming up in the weekend. And like
Yeah.
seeing so many active cases, I'm like questioning, do I go to it? It's the same thing about going to restaurants. I just got told that a couple of like the most famous restaurants in Auckland are closing down until further notice. It's like all that uncertainty about what's closing, what's not there, all the changes. People that we know are actually getting COVID now. Like, in the first lot of like cases that we were getting, I didn't know anyone for like a whole year that had COVID personally, and now all of a sudden every second or third friend is getting it. So like the fear is definitely real. I think what we all need to realize at the end of it is the peak will start going down, and that's what we need to focus on, is having a plan in place for how long it stays on for. It will go down, and like reassuring ourselves that there's an end in sight for it.
Yeah, it is. And I think we have weathered the storm for 2 years as businesses. And I think, unfortunately, there is just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's not solving everyone's problems, but there is some relief packages available through the government that kick off from the end of this month and are available for payments from the 1st of March. And so if you do sign up to our newsletter, we do have some details on that in there as well.
Amazing. Yeah.
But it's definitely a time where we are finding, again, we go back to when we talked with Simon from Cranky Goat, right? Planning. Okay. So we're hitting this period of time where there's just even more uncertainty. Have we done our homework? Can we keep our head above water as we walk through this, and without, the anxiety? Because there's just a lot of anxiety out there at the moment about keeping your business afloat.
And I think, yeah, as long as we keep planning and we keep going with a positive mindset, we can definitely get through it. And I
Yeah.
think that's the last thing that I would add from my end is like keep a positive mindset. We will get through it.
Yeah, yeah. Now, just a little thank you to Carmen again. Thank you so much. These insights are really coming from, fortunately, uh, Rakeeb and I get to work with, for those watching and listening, a lot of different businesses out there, and every
Yeah.
business is just
Yeah.
hitting different challenges right now, and we
Yeah.
are finding that there is not one solution works
No.
for all businesses right now.
Exactly. Everyone's for
Mm.
themselves at the moment in terms of the solution that they need, but that's where we can help. If anyone's stuck or just don't know which way to go, feel free to reach out. We'll be more than happy to like give advice or like support you.
Yep, yep. Now there are channels that people do if they do want to, and you can access, either myself or Rakeeb, and that's through the Regional Business Partnership Network.
Yeah.
So we are a partner of that where we can support businesses, but also there's the Business Mentor Program. So that's
Yeah.
small fee, and then you can go and be matched with a mentor. So right now, if
Yeah.
anything, and look, I put my hand up. I have had multiple business mentors for different things, and they
Yeah.
are amazing to have because at times,
Great.
how do we put it? How do I put it without being too diplomatic? But when you've got your own head up your own ass and you can't see through the woods,
Yeah.
it's good to have someone else to talk to.
Exactly. It's you've summed it up quite nicely. They give you a good like they look at things in a more clear perspective to what you might be looking at it. So they go through it with a magnifying glass that you kind of avoid and tell
Mm,
you things you might not want to hear, but those things are actually what you need to hear. So I think just having another set of eyes who has that experience giving you what you need definitely helps. In the long term, it definitely makes a big difference.
mm. Yeah, totally, totally. So I think if anyone is just unsure, try and step out of your business and just try and plan. If your head is too unclear, then
Yeah.
highly recommend you speak to someone. And I know I've been there where there's no light at the end of the tunnel. You just do not know. And
Definitely.
having a moment, even, Rakeeb, you and I have had chats, I come to you with things and ask you, hey, what do you think about this? Just
Yeah.
having someone that you can turn to ask the question of what do they
Exactly.
think. Now, one golden rule I have that I will not do is don't ask your mum, your partner, or your closest friend
Your family in
because they're
general.
probably or your family because they're probably going to give you they're going to give you an answer that's not going to upset you.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yep,
we've all
find
been there.
find
We've all
someone.
been there.
Yeah, find someone that is going to be cold-hearted and tell you the truth because that's the type of person you
Yeah,
want when you're trying to make
yeah,
informed business decisions.
definitely.
So,
Couldn't agree more.
yeah. So I think one thing we need to be thinking about right now is, and we've kind of, we're covering it off by saying that it is tough, but especially for tourism operators and hospitality,
Yeah,
winter is going to be hard. Less
exactly.
people are going to go out regardless.
Yeah,
We also know there's people that aren't working, so there's less money going around. So
yeah,
we're naturally going to just see a decline in revenue for these
exactly.
sectors.
Yeah,
And it's really important that if you do have the ability, you can support these sectors, that you still go out and do what you can.
I agree.
We won't see international trade come into or tourists come into New Zealand until towards the end of the year. And
Exactly.
even then, that's going to be slow. So we
Yeah,
all have to continue to support each other where we can.
definitely. Definitely support local as much as we can when we're buying things as well online and anywhere.
Mm.
If you've got something that you can access here, might as well do it because we all need to support
Yep.
each other right now more than ever.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Yeah,
Um,
cool.
yeah, so
Well, I guess we could leave
I
it there
think
for today.
I'm going to get back to my lunch because I haven't
Yeah,
finished it
you
yet.
got it. It was lovely, and thanks for everyone that joined. And for those that will be watching this later, like we said, a newsletter is coming out tomorrow. So feel free to sign up if you haven't already. And like Tracy said, we'll have a lot of tips and tricks to share, and also any new news that's coming out, and some useful resources that will be in there for you as well. So until next week, thanks for joining us, and we will talk to you guys then. Thanks, Tracy. Even though you made it through the whole live without cutting
I
out.
made it. I made it through. Yay. Thanks,
You did
Rakeeb.
this.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
See you next
See
week,
ya.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.